was roaming in my neighborhood. Now, it was a great dog. I don't know who was supposed to care for that animal, but it was a shame to see it roaming through the trash in the neighborhood. Far too much time has passed. Far too many animals have been killed by our department. I would much rather have Mr. Box set his resources toward those gangbangers that are teaching vicious skills to animals that are loving animals. I would much rather he focus his attention on teaching young kids how to take care of their animals properly. I would much rather he focus his attention on providing more resources to help our young people and our adults learn from animals, learn humanity from these animals. They can do it. We can do it. But we must pass this ordinance in doing so. Mr. Rosendahl, I know that, Mr. Rosendahl, you are one of the greatest lovers of animals on this council. There's no question about it, and I respect your position. I do believe, however, that there is a great social benefit to be derived from implementing this ordinance at 4 months.
Although this plan may be good for cats, District 11 Councilmember Bill Rosendahl says he doesn't believe in early neutering for dogs and says registration of dogs is the answer.
And I'll be personal. You know, my dog Rosie, which lived until almost 12 years old, it was not, as German Shepherd, mature until it was 18 months old, according to all the vets I dealt with, to get all of its energy to be in a proper form. 18 months. I don't believe in this 8 weeks, 2 months, 4 months, that kind of thing, okay? The animal had not come into its true nature. If you respect the nature of animals and you respect your role as the person in charge of your animal, you're going to be responsible through all that process, which registering of the animals is the key for that responsibility, okay? Now, 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months. Do you realize we don't have enough police out there to police for our issues as citizens? And we're going to be banging? I just can't believe it. We bang on people's doors and say, oh, by the way, is your dog fixed or not? I mean, for God's sake, what kind of fascist move is that in our society? And frankly, I say to all my friends, and many of you are my personal friends over the years, you know, I love animals and I believe in responsible animal owners. I believe that we should not have any unwanted pregnancies of any kind of animal out there on the street. I don't like putting them in shelters and killing them. I think it's all bad, that kind of stuff. But we need to get more people responsible by getting them within the map of registrations of the animals, okay? Then we can go from there. And I would much rather have a panel of experts who talk about not what you skewed up with all of that, which I think was totally inappropriate. It was not a fair dialogue. That we should be really talking about what is a mature dog. Now, little dogs, Richard, fine. If they're little toy poodles or whatever they are, they might mature earlier. Chihuahuas, I think you said. What are they? Your dogs. Chihuahuas, okay. They're a little dog. They mature quicker than a bigger dog does. And maybe it makes sense.
Little dogs.
So anyhow, in concluding, I am voting against this.
As amended, if we can open the roll on this item. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 1 no.
That is approved.
And joining us now by phone is District 6 Councilmember Tony Cardenas. Councilman, welcome to Council Week in Review.
Pleasure to be with you.
One of the arguments in favor of the ordinance was that it would help Los Angeles achieve the no-kill policy. Exactly what do you mean by a no-kill policy?
Well, a no-kill policy means that we do not have to euthanize dogs and cats who are stray. We pick them up, and nobody wants to adopt them. And the problem is this. Dogs and cats can produce so quickly and so often that a pair of dogs or a pair of cats within just a few years can have thousands of offspring going down a few generations. So the point is, when that happens, we have to euthanize tens of thousands of animals every year. So if we're going to get to a no-kill policy, we got to make sure that we curtail the number of animals being born. And the most humane way to do that is to have a spay and neuter program that's available to everyone and that people are going to pay attention to and they're going to participate in.
tens of thousands per year. So we're euthanizing, what, dozens upon dozens every single day in Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Tens and tens of animals on an average day are getting killed by being euthanized because nobody wants to adopt them. We don't have the space for them, and then we have to euthanize them. So that's been a big problem. It's something that I think every Angelino would like to stop, and the only way we're going to do that is to stop the animals from being born. And the most humane way to do that is to make sure that the citizens, the human beings who own these animals, stop letting them have, litters. And when they do that, we'll stop doing that. We'll save millions of dollars every year, and we'll be able to use our good tax dollars for other things other than killing animals because we have way too many, in the tens of thousands.
Well, certainly you've heard the counter-argument that 4 months is way too young if you're going to do spaying and neutering at all.
Well, I appreciate the fact that people have their opinions, but we actually have had testimony upon testimony of experts, researchers, veterinarians who have said and made it very clear that 4 months is just fine. They've been doing it for decades now. The research is there. It supports it. It's safe. People love their animals. Their animals have lived a long, long time after having been spayed and neutered at that age. And I know personally, our dog Coco, she got neutered, and, proof's in the pudding and the research there. It's safe.
I think there's already a state law on this subject in place. Isn't there also one for the county? Why does Los Angeles City need a law?
Well, there is one for the county. They're moving legislation for a spay and neutering similar to what we're doing here in the city of Los Angeles, statewide. But that has not passed. It's bogged down in the legislature. So rather than wait and have to kill more animals, what we're doing is we're taking matters into our own hands and making sure that people are going to follow the law, and they're going to make it safer for people, for animals. Stray animals is also, apart from having to euthanize so many, it's also a safety factor. When you have some communities where pit bulls are running around and other dogs and they're stray, you have accidents.
I think you've also written into the proposal, have you not, the possibility that somebody might not want to have their animals spayed or neutered, that they can actually take a different route.
Absolutely. If people are breeders, they have every opportunity to keep those animals to be able to reproduce. And also, any citizen in Los Angeles, by paying $100, can make sure that their dog or cat does not have to be spayed or neutered either. So it's really simple. Everybody and anybody who does not want to have to spay and neuter their animal can go ahead and keep them intact. But it's going to cost them $100. To us, we think it's a small price to pay. If you love your animals that much and you're being responsible, well, go ahead and breed them. But if you're not, you're going to have to spay and neuter them, and then we'll have tens of thousands of animals less in the city of Los Angeles that have to be euthanized every year.
What in general is the cost of having an animal spayed and neutered, and what about low-income families?
Well, I got to say, Bob Barker was there, and he is a big proponent of spay and neutering, so I got to give my hat off to him and tell him thank you, Bob Barker, for reminding us that the price is right. It only costs $60 to $80 to get a cat or dog spayed or neutered here in Los Angeles, but the city of Los Angeles gives out as many as 20,000 vouchers to take $30 off of that price. In addition to that, we have as many as 11,000 vouchers every year that we give to poor families and seniors so they can get it done for free. We also support a lot of not-for-profits that actually have mobile vans that go around the city and will show up in your community and allow you to spay or neuter your dog or cat for free. So the price is right, and it's priceless to be able to stop having to euthanize our animals in our shelters. So to me, it's the right thing to do, and it's the right time to do it. We shouldn't wait any longer. We can't wait for the state to do it. I hope they're successful. But here in Los Angeles, we've done it. We're going to move forward with it. And I think in the long run, people are going to be very happy, and the city's going to be safer, and we're going to be able to feel better about where our tax dollars are going.
And finally, if my arithmetic is right, even without the voucher, you would save that amount of money that you would spend on spaying and neutering in just the first year on license fees.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right. No matter how you slice this motion, when we get it going, people are going to realize the cost savings and us to be able to put more money into better programs, more proactive programs. It's a tough budget year, and I think this is one issue that we can take to the bank, knowing that we've done the right thing for the taxpayers, we've done the right things for the animals in Los Angeles, and we're also teaching communities how to do it better. Hopefully other cities and counties will follow suit.
District 6 Councilman Tony Cardenas, thanks for joining us on Council Week in Review.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Even though the vote was 10-1, to pass an ordinance on the first reading requires 12 aye votes. So the item will return to Council in a week where 8 ayes will be able to put the mandatory spaying and neutering ordinance into law. You can listen to City Council meetings as well as committee and commission meetings on the telephone by using the city's council phone system. In the downtown area, dial 213-621-CITY. In West LA, dial 310-471-CITY. For the San Pedro area, dial 310-547-CITY. And in the San Fernando Valley, dial 818-904-9450. Just follow the recorded instructions for the meetings you want to hear. And we invite you to address the Los Angeles City Council on any item on the council agenda, as well as during public comment. You may come downtown to City Hall or go to the Van Nuys City Hall and participate via video teleconferencing. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. On Saturday and Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending February 1st, 2008. On behalf of Stephen Sanchez and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Popejoy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
Hey, buddy, what's shaking? We're not prepared for an earthquake. I love the rain, but we're not prepared for a flood.
Sure, in the movies, this is all pretend, but in real life, you gotta be prepared for any type of an emergency. You can't predict, but you can prepare.
Yeah.
How'd you know? The ball called.
Be prepared at LAFD.org.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council meeting for today, February 5th, Tuesday, 2008. We are in the John Ferraro Council Chambers here in room 340 of City Hall, and I'm joined by my council colleagues, Tony Cardenas, Wendy Gruhl, Jose Huizar, Tom LaBonge, Jan Perry, Ed Reyes, Greg Smith, and Dennis Zine. I'm Council President Eric Garcetti. We are awaiting one more member to constitute a quorum. Mr. Alarcon is excused today, but otherwise we are expecting everybody now. Ms. Hahn, Mr. Parks, Mr. Rosendahl, Mr. Weiss, and Mr. Wesson. We are awaiting your presence here in council chambers. And pursuant to City Council rules, council members should be in their seats at 10 a.m. Ready to begin the meetings. We are broadcast live on Channel 35 and want to welcome all of our viewers through the city's cable system. We also want to inform folks that we are rebroadcast in the evening. We're also webcast through lacity.org, and you can catch live archived footage of our past meetings online there as well. And you can always use council phone to listen in by calling 213-621-CITY on your telephone. Our agendas are available online and through the city clerk's office and here in council chambers. If you avail yourself of the agendas, those are available 72 hours in advance or 24 hours for our special items. And if there's any items you'd like to speak on that have not yet had a public hearing in committee, just fill a speaker card out in the back and we will be sure to listen to your comments. We are having some technical difficulties again in Van Nuys. Our apologies, but we are doing our best to fix those for our friends out in Van Nuys who avail themselves of the capability of testifying from Van Nuys City Hall, where we also take City Council on the first Friday of the month. That said, we have a quorum, and Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Huizar, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Zine, Garcetti. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
I think the first order of business, colleagues, is to wish Brian Walters, our city clerk, a very happy birthday today. And yes, Mr. Zine?
President, I'd like to also wish you a happy birthday one day late.
Thank you very much. It's very nice of you as well. Brian and I, this meeting is being run by Aquarians. We'll see how that works. We're supposed to be idealistic, but not that organized, so we'll try our best. Next order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
All right. Mr. Cardenas moves and Mr. LaBonge seconds. Next order of business, if no objection, that will be approved.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Smith moves and Mr. Reyes seconds without objection. That will be approved as well.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there is a flag salute for today.
All right. If I can ask everybody to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Smith, if you would be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will you please place your hand over your heart and repeat with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next order of business, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to take public comment at this time?
Let's run through the agenda. We'll come back for public comment right after that.
On the regular agenda, items 1 and 2 are items for which public hearings have been held.
All righty. Anybody wishing to call those special? If not, let's go ahead on items 1 and 2. And please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 3 through 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration, and there are cards on a number of items.
Okay, let's hold 3 through 9 as ordinances right now. And again, we'd like Mr. Parks, Mr. Weiss, and Ms. Hahn to please join us as soon as possible. Ms. Perry?
19, I just needed to make a verbal technical correction. I can do it now and get it out of the way.
Sure, go ahead.
The date of the council action should be corrected to state August 14th, 2007. The council file referenced therein is 06-1450.
All right.
That's the correction.
Thank you for that correction. No objection. That will be accepted. And Mr. Zine.
11, 12, 13, and 14 special.
Mr. Zine calls those 4 items special, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And any other specials, colleagues? We have cards on 15, 17, and 21. So that leaves us with item 10, 16, and 18, and 20.
And, Mr. President, there actually are 12 members now.
Okay, let's take up 3 through 9 then at the same time. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items.
Mr. President, that would take you back to public comment.
Okay, we'll start with Arnold Sachs. He'll be our first speaker in public comment, and I'll check in about Van Nuys to see if we have the connection there. If so, we'll go Miriam Fogler next. Dion, would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. President. While Mr. Sachs is coming to the podium, there was a public hearing notice for today which did not make it on the agenda. It's Council File number 07-4174. It's the disposition and development agreement with Slauson Central for the development of the Slauson Central Retail Center located at 944-1010 and 1040 East Slauson Avenue. The matter is still in committee and was not placed on today's City Council meeting agenda. The matter will be placed on a special meeting agenda in Council on Friday, February 8th.
Thank you very much. All right. Mr. Sachs.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'd like to clean up a little business. I would like to say that last Wednesday, I believe the council behavior was terrible when Mr. Reyes was talking about an item that he had on the agenda and everybody was up and around like they're doing now, taking photos with Mr. Barker. Now, you know how the public feels when they come up here to talk about something and they feel they're being ignored, which is happening now. Thank you. I'd like to talk about posting of meetings. Also at last Wednesday's meeting, there was an item on the agenda regarding the JPA, the high-speed rail. Why it had to be on the meeting on the 30th, because it was on agenda for the SCAG meeting on the 31st. How come a $25 billion project is on the agenda for the last day before it needs to be approved by SCAG? Where was it posted? I went to City Hall East to look to see if it was posted on the bulletin board. There are 60 postings for meetings on the bulletin board at City Hall East. None of them were about SCAG. There was also no posting for the Transportation Commission meeting that was supposed to be held on Thursday. That was actually canceled. Also, I'd like to mention about your ability to keep, whenever you have announcements, your anonymous votes requests or your appointments, please refrain from your unanimous vote requests. If you don't vote, which we all know you don't vote, it counts as a yes. So all you need to do is say, please don't vote for this person, and we'll have them okayed for the position. The public doesn't see, the public only hears. If you showed what was going on actually in City Hall chambers and they had an opportunity to see you in action, then it would be different. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Van Nuys set up? We do. Okay, so Miriam Fogler will be our first speaker out in Van Nuys. Donna Pearman will follow. Good morning, Ms. Fogler.
Today is D-Day, or Election Super Tuesday, Super Election Day, and those folks out there, you want to know that I would support S if there was accountability, if the city wasn't doing things behind the scenes, and would show exactly how the money's being spent. So you need to vote no to send a message to the city politicians, to the leaders here, that they need to be need to make the budget balanced, and not just slough it off and think it's okay to go on with business as usual here at City Hall. Secondly, for those of you at the state level, McClintock is important. They stay in the office one more term, and that's the only reason why I'm voting yes on 93. Is because I think there's the only person left in Sacramento that has any honesty left to tell the public what's going on. I receive his monthly emails, so please get on his mail. Number 3, the federal government doesn't need Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton back in the White House, because actually you would pour money back into the city here, just as the city needs to balance its books. So I don't want the Hillary Clintons in there and Bill Clinton, because...
Excuse me, Mr. President, it doesn't appear she's talking on a topic of the jurisdiction of the city of Los Angeles.
Money from the,
yes,
from
if we could bring it back to something local. Thank you.
Well, the president has money that's going to give money to the city if it's a Democrat. If it's a Republican, you can forget about that. So pretty much the Indian ones are good to vote yes. But what we need here for an ordinance for the city, we need something like putting the books on fiscal balance. We need to put an ordinance in the city here that we might need to balance the books. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fogler. Donna Perriman is next.
Yeah, this is Donna. As I said, this is a big day. This is the last day people can share their voice by voting down that phony phone tax. Do not let them scare you for voting for it. They will do cutbacks and raise fees anyway. This is an illegal tax, pure and simple. And usually I'm for term limits, but this one, Prop 93, can keep a really good politician in Tom McClintock. We need them. Vote yes on 93. Forgot to say that Prop S is a no-brainer. People with no brains vote for S. So if you have intelligence, you will vote no on S. Please vote. So if you hadn't voted, vote no on S. And since you won't let me do the thing on Hillary, I want to tell people to please vote. It's a shame that only a small percentage of people vote. People fought hard for that privilege, especially women and minorities. And if you don't vote, you are saying it doesn't matter how hard they fought for your ability to vote. They are not my issues. I don't like the candidates. These issues affect all Angelenos, and the President of the U.S. affects all Americans. I'm going to vote for Obama, by the way, like our president of the city council who liked him. So you would think yourself, you have to figure out who you think would lead the best. For myself, I vote for Obama. The Hispanics who vote usually do so.
Doesn't appear to be on topic.
I'm telling people to vote.
Go ahead, Ms. Perriman. Thank you.
Okay, the Hispanics who vote usually do so. They know how valuable voting really is. Most of us can be born outside, we had to be born outside the U.S. to appreciate our ability to vote. Let's join our worthy Hispanics and vote today. Let's vote.
Thank you so much, Ms. Perriman, and we do want to reinforce that. Thank you very much for the reminder. We do hope that folks do get out there and vote today. Polls are open till 8 p.m. And if you don't know where to find your polling place, please go to the LA County Registrar Recorder's website, or you can even call 311 and they'll connect you with our city clerk who can assist you as well. Our final speaker for public comment, general public comment out in the Valley, is Sharon Brewer. Good morning, Ms. Brewer.
Morning. Just to let you know, once again, there are no agendas for us here in Van Nuys.
Thank you.
Sharon Brewer, Prop S, people rejecting outrageous public spending. Vote no. TV ads say Prop S will protect public safety, close corporate tax loophole, annual audit to make sure money is spent properly. Fact, the money from this tax will go to the general fund where it can be used for anything, including specially met fee waivers, convention fee waivers, city employee perks, etc. Annual audit to make sure money is spent properly. If the money can be used for anything the city wants, this audit means nothing. Daily News, Monday, February 4th, 2008, article, Measure S. Some see loss as a win. Tax. Watchdogs say defeat could force city to rein in spending. Article says LA has been overspending since at least 2001, 7 years, balancing its budget each year with money transfers or unexpected revenue from real estate market. Losing tax could force city leaders to finally make tough spending cuts and decisions that should have been made before. Councilman Parks said major budget reform is not the answer. It's not like there is sufficient amount of money sitting there or being wasted. CAO officer Karen Sisson seems to disagree with Parks' statement. There are numerous ways you can cut $270 million out of the budget. Others who disagree, since 2006, Laura Chick's audits have made suggestions for savings. 2004, CAO and CLA estimated city could save $2 million by making cuts. City leaders continue to ignore reports by CAO, CLA, and the controller. Prop S, people rejecting outrageous public spending, voting no, hold city leaders accountable for city budget problems. Also, I was upset that the budget meeting last night held in Northridge was not televised for the public to see what happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Brewer. That closes our general public comment. And departing from custom, because we have some visitors who are here just for today, I want to recognize our honorary Croatian council member from the 15th District, Ms. Janice Hahn.
Yes, one of the Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate you indulging me. I just wanted to take this opportunity to welcome firefighters from Split, Croatia. And you know, we also have our Council General, Ante Bavir, here, who's our Council General for Croatia. And we have Matt Fistinich from 38s, who got a call from his cousin in Croatia. And they apparently had a terrible brush fire there, where very tragically they lost 13 firefighters. And this, ladies and gentlemen, and Tom LaBonge will agree, this is what our sister city relationship is all about. Matt, again, is a firefighter with the LA Fire Department at 38s, invited them to come over here and come close, you can come close, invited them to come over here and learn from our fire department on the best ways to fight particularly brush fires. Of course, we have experience in that. So they're going to be out here for this week, and they're going to spend all day tomorrow at 38s. Then they're going to participate in rescue drill, ride along, overnight stays. They're going to visit Fire Station 27, Tom, and they're going to tour stations 49, 110, 111s, and one of my favorites, 112s down in the harbor. So we are very pleased to have you here. We're very sorry for your loss of firefighters. It's always tragic, and we know in your country as well as ours, it's the firefighters who respond quickly to those emergencies and tragedies for us all. I've traveled to Split twice, so I'm very excited that you're here, and we hope that you have a wonderful time here and learn a lot from our firefighters, and hopefully we will continue to build on our relationship between Los Angeles and Split in many other ways. But we just wanted to welcome all of you here today. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Matt. Did you want to say anything, Matt? I did good. Okay. Tom, did you want to say anything? Just
members, as you said earlier, we learn from each other. We're sorry about your tragic loss of the fellow firefighters. We hope that your experience here will enhance you and share, and come again next year. Come every year. And to the firefighter of 38s, we want to shout out to 38s. 38 stood between the Griffith Park fire on May 8th, a roaring blaze, and saved our historic merry-go-round. Forever grateful for 38s. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ms. Hahn.
Yes, she wants to say a word.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Branka Bezic-Filipovic. I'm here with the firefighters, but also on behalf of Croatian Heritage Foundation, where I work. And my job is to maintain the relationship with Croatian people all over the world. Also, I am bringing letters from the mayor of Split, and I am bringing regards on behalf of the City Council of Split, and I hope this is another bond between two cities, Split and Los Angeles, and we are all very grateful and very honored to be here. I know your time is precious. Thank you very much for everything, and thank you a lot to Mrs. Hahn for the invitation letter, because everything went smoothly with getting the visa.
Good.
Thank you.
Glad to know my name still works in Croatia. Okay. Thank you. Why don't you come this way?
Thank you very much, Ms. Hanic. And with that, we will return to our items called special. First item, please.
Items 11 through 14 were called special by Councilmember Zine.
Okay, Mr. Zine, we have a card on item 11 first. So we'll take that at the outset. Mr. Sachs, if you'd like to come forward on item number 11.
Good morning. Thank you again. Item number 11 refers to a project coordinator position for the LA Department of Transportation. And I'm concerned because last month on the 29th and also in October of last year, you had a couple of items on your agenda regarding accepting of bids, business improvement districts, but you were looking for bids for bids. And it's redundant that you should do so. I think if you're going to have a project coordinator. He should look into this practice that you allow to happen. Also, that in these items on your agenda, not only are you asking for responsible bidders, but then you're giving the amount of money that the responsible bidder has to bid at $500, and you're naming the bidders. Shouldn't this be done? Isn't there a city policy when it comes to bidding on projects that the city is looking for, that they should be sealed bids, that they should be opened at one time, that the information inside should be disclosed on a date? There's no date for when this bidding process is closed. If this project coordinator, and I thank you for your attention, if this project coordinator is approved, will those be part of his job description? And if it's part of his job description, how will he go about announcing what a bid is on a bid? And the Business Improvement District, what does the Business Improvement District deal with a pipeline? What is being improved? What part of who else is contributing to the Business Improvement District?
I don't believe he's on topic on this coordinator here.
Mr. Attorney, do you know what the requirements for the project coordinator will be for this position that's being called for?
The business improvement districts are run through the city clerk's office, sir.
I understand that, but you also have business improvement districts for the pipeline run through the DOT.
Thank
so
you.
my concern is what this person's requirements will be, what his job requirements will be.
Okay, and that is publicly posted, that job, on our city's website, which we commend to folks to look at, and for he or she, those requirements will be put up there as well. Thank you. Mr. Zine is our first speaker on, we'll take up 11 through 14 together.
All four, 11, 12, 13, 14, Mr. President. If we can have personnel, the reason I'm bringing this forward on requesting a special on this is it never went to Personnel Committee, and I want to find out why. And number two, a couple of them are re-exemptions, and others are new exemptions. And if we're in this tight economic situation that the mayor has brought forward, I question, does this fit what the mayor's plan is when we talk about fiscal restraint, when we're adding additional positions in addition to including the re-exemptions that are called for in number 12 and number 14, and there's new exemptions in 11 and 13. So it never went to committee, and I don't know why it didn't go to committee. And number two, if you can answer the questions about the mayor's directive and the financial situation we have regarding these positions. Whichever one wants to acknowledge and hold the time, please.
Shannon Pasquale, Personnel Department. In terms of your first question, the mayor's office submits the recommendation to exempt a position, and it goes directly to the city clerk. The city clerk's office then schedules it to go to the various committees, and if it doesn't go to the various committees, then it goes directly to full council. Why this didn't get on any of your previous agendas, I'm not really sure.
Neither am I.
The Personnel Department does not have any role or responsibility as it relates to any of these items being scheduled for your committee or for full council.
Well, maybe we should have the clerk answer why it never was scheduled for a committee meeting so it could be discussed. What about the other part?
Steve Bickle from the Department of Transportation. Your question in terms of whether or not this new exemption for LADOT meets the concern of the city's fiscal situation. This position is a special funded position. It uses no general funds.
Where does the money come from?
I believe it's Prop C. And in fact, we had been in communication with the mayor in December relative to the importance of this position and its priority relative to the city's fiscal situation. And our general manager reiterated the importance of the position to the mayor's staff in December, prior to the mayor submitting the recommendation for exemption to the city clerk.
But since that time, there's been some economic situations that have risen to the surface.
To be sure, it is still the department's intention that this position would be one that we would place a high priority on trying to fill.
And it's funded by Prop C?
Yes. It's
So
my
there's no
understanding.
general fund impact?
Yes.
Okay, and what about the other exemptions from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, City Engineer, and Maritime Museum?
We'd have to hear directly from the departments who have representatives here for those
Okay,
positions.
if we could do that, and where the funding's coming from for the positions. And if this would have gone to committee, we could have resolved this matter at that location.
No, it doesn't matter. They just want to talk about.
Never went to committee, though.
Go ahead, Gary.
Good morning, Gary Moore, City Engineer. Item number 13 regarding the Chief Deputy City Engineer position.
That's number 13.
That's correct.
Mr. President, it's really,
Yes, sir.
it's really loud.
If I could ask everybody, please, council members and staff and members of the public, if we can keep our conversations to a minimum, or if we can take them out to the hallway so we can afford Mr. Zine the courtesy of hearing the testimony from our personnel department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary?
Yes, item 13 is for the Chief Deputy City Engineer. This is the Bureau of Engineering is approximately 1,000-person organization, and this is the number 2 position in the organization. This position is general funded. However, we have managed this year. We're staying within our budget. We're actually contributing or holding positions vacant so that we can be able to have the salary to fund this position.
And is this a replacement for someone who left, retired?
Brad Smith retired after 39 years of service, and besides being number 2, it also oversees key facilities, the police administration building, the new police stations that we're building, which are $600 million worth of stations, very key position in the organization. And as you've said, with the tough financial times, even more of personnel issues that we have to juggle, so very much needed.
So he's replacing someone who's retired?
Yes.
Okay. Number, you Animal Services or, Neighborhood Empowerment or Recs and Parks?
Yes, sir. Hello, Councilman Design. Council members, item number 12 is a request to approve a re-exemption request for one senior project coordinator and one principal project coordinator for the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Now, these two positions are well within our range of salary savings. If the last FSR that was dated, I think February 28th, showed that Dunn had done a complete reversal, going from a $270,000 projected salary deficit to zero salary deficit, and in fact a surplus. And the last month's FSR, sir, which wasn't reflected in the CAO's FSR, the city document that goes monthly, we're up to about a $141,000 salary surplus at this point. Now, these two positions are replacements. The principal project coordinator, as part of our strategy, was held vacant to save some cash, and then the person was appointed under the emergency appointment process because our management felt that it was critical to get that position filled after leaving it unfilled for a while. We need that direction for the field operations. And the senior project coordinator position occurred when a person who was in that position transferred, I think, to the Department of Emergency Management. So these are both replacement positions, and there should be no impact at all on our fiscal situation.
So your budget's in order then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the final one is Recs and Parks, Maritime Museum Coordinator.
Good morning.
Morning.
Harold Fujita, Department of Recreation and Parks. This is a request for a re-exemption of a Maritime Museum Curator. The position is general funded. It was originally exempted in 1998, and it is a single person classification with highly specialized duties.
What about the funding? General fund?
It is general funded.
Where's the budget on that for your department?
The department is in line with its budget.
So you are not in the negative?
That's correct.
Okay. And this, how long has this position been vacant?
This position has been vacant for approximately 2 years.
I thought we approved this in personnel a while back for a
Yes.
curator. What happened to that?
For some reason, it's taken some time to come before you. I don't know what the delay was, but I believe you're correct about the time frame.
So maybe that time expired and had to go through the cycle again.
That is possible.
But it's one position to run the museum.
There is a Maritime Museum Director. This is essentially the second in command, the Maritime Museum Curator. And actually, the curator took the director position, and that resulted in the vacancy.
Okay.
And that may have been part of the reason, too, for the delay.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That answers the questions. And I'll find out from the clerk why it didn't go to committee, which could have prevented this discussion and your time here this morning. Thank you, gentlemen. So, Mr. President, request approval on 11, 12, 13, 14.
Each one of them.
Thank
you. Mr. Zine has moved approval of those items. Any other members? Mr. Labange. Before folks...
Mr. Moore and staff, I just wanted to rise and support this. Thank you for the questions, Mr. Zine. But this is what we need to do, especially with the incumbent challenge that we have to make sure we have the money there, but we need the people there. And just because some people retire, if they're not filled, then there's a gap in the whole chain. Thank you, Mr. Zine, for your leadership as always, but I stand to support these departments of transportation, the Bureau of Engineering and Recreation and Parks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. And with that, let's prepare the roll on these 4 items, and please tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item, please, Mr. Clerk.
Item 15 was called special for a card from the public.
Okay, we'll go out to Van Nuys again. Sharon Brewer is our first speaker. After that will be Donna Pearman, and then Miriam Fogler. Good morning, again.
Good morning. Sharon Brewer, special event fee waivers, item number 15. You have 4 today, 2 with amounts. I didn't get a chance to add them up, but it's almost $30,000. With item C is $14,377. It's a Theater Spring production. Sponsor is Assistance League of Southern California. It's 3 days in February, 4 days in March, and 4 days in April. It's 8 p.m. to midnight. There's street closures. I'm wondering, because of the time, whether or not people are having to pay to go this event, if there's shows that are being shown, and if somebody's making money. On D, it's $13,642 for Eagle Rock Farmers Market, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. from February 8th to August 8th. Approximately 200 people. Again, this is street closures. I believe that the people that are the vendors at these farmers markets are selling things, and thus they are making money. Again, we have fee waivers that are being given, and there is no moratorium being put on these events to help save the city money, which could amount to about $10 million in a year. And again, where is the neighborhood council to help with these events? And again, we need to know how these events benefit the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Donna Pearman is our next speaker.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, by the way, Eric Garcetti, and my dad's birthday was yesterday, too. Anyway, I think it's terrible when the city is asking hardworking city employees to take 5 days off and you have these fee waivers. Why is it more important to have an event for $13,000 than have appreciation for city employees? I think the city council should take days off without pay, and maybe the city council can pay for these out of their pocket to pay for these events. I see these events, and each time that the city council comes up with these things like this one belongs to CD6 or this one belongs to CD13, or I think these city council members should pay for these fee waivers because we can't afford it, and that's why they come up with these terrible Prop S. So please don't pass these fee waivers. They're very bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Fogler will be our final speaker on item number 15.
When I ask you to put yourself on a budget every year, Congress also should be doing it, and the state legislature. These should be fitted into the budget. If you can't do it, it shouldn't be done. And you shouldn't be asking the city workers to take furlough, and you shouldn't be asking people for money, taxes, and we're having a bad housing situation, and this is compounding it more by giving special perk. This is what I call these are perks, or these are these are pork benefits. It's just like Congress and the state do the same thing. So you need to cut this fat out because you're complaining you're short of money, and we need to raise the money necessary through appropriate means to have these events, not ask the city to have to shell it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fogler. That closes our public comments for this item. If we can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 17 called special for cards from the public.
Ms. Brewer on item number 17, out in Van Nuys.
Yes, basically, I wanted to speak on 16, 17, 18, and 19, which are all convention fee waivers. Maybe you can take and group them like you do the special event fee waivers with one item number and then A, B, C, D. Basically, on 17, it's a LA Trade Technical College Class 2008 graduation for $8,000. They expect 800 students, but possibly 6,800 to attend. I'm wondering if this is another LAUSD event, and if you expect about 6,800 people and it's $8,000, maybe they could do $1 a person. With the other ones, I question whether or not the 18 is LA Parents Union Citywide Conference, possibly another LAUSD. Then 19 is LA County Science and Engineering. Doesn't the county have a budget? So you have $53,550 is what the county science and engineering fair was, and now they want $57,000. And then when it comes to number 16, the 8th Annual Women's Health Forum, $11,668.88. They end up going and having these health forums around the different council districts. So why not just keep it there and not have them at the convention center, because it's like you're taking and having things twice. Not that Women's Health Forum is not good, but if you're having them out in the community, then don't take and do a fee waiver with the convention center. Thank you.
Can you tell them about us? Speak.
Miriam and Donna said that they wanted to speak. I don't know if they put in a card.
Go ahead if you'd like to come forward. Ms. Fogler?
Yes, I believe that there's hope at the end of the horizon. Because I didn't get the card to put in. I appreciate you giving me this time. Because I love you. I love the city. I love my city, and I want to keep it going. I grew up here, and I was hoping that we can, finally have an annual budget that will balance out here in the city, and that we can have these goodies here. And the people have to participate, and they have to pay their portion here, so that the city can provide these services here at the convention center. Nothing comes free unless you make it work that way. Everybody participates. It makes it so much easier if we can balance the books here. Then we can really breeze in the sea there. You guys everybody would be happy. We would be happy with you, and you'd be happy with the public. So let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody else wish to speak out in Van Nuys? I'm sorry. Did one other person? Yes, go ahead, Ms. Behrman.
I'm totally against all these fee waivers on this, especially this one over here for the LA County Science and Engineer Fair. That's an awful lot of money, $57,000.
So, you have to figure out how much can the city afford, and we can't just keep on having all these things because unless we can see that these things will give us some money back. If they can figure out a way to bring the money back after you've waived these fees, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That will close public comment on this item. If we can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 21, called special for cards from the public.
Mr. Sachs, item number 21 is before us.
Good morning again. Thank you very much, Arnold Sachs. A couple of things about this item. Regarding the Street Furniture Revenue Fund, this contract that's been drawn up with Our Up North America LTD, that is a nonprofit group or not? Also, it says the agreement shall have the following: a detailed description of the work to be performed and the estimated completion date of such services. It doesn't mention the cost for this estimate. And why is an outside consulting service being contracted with? Doesn't the city have personnel that can do this on city time? And then I'd like to find out, previously in January, there was a item on your agenda regarding property trust fund for street and sidewalk infrastructure improvement. Only this used pipeline franchise revenue. Is this funding for beautification projects? Does that include street and sidewalk infrastructure improvements within the council district? And if it does, why does this not include pipeline revenue franchise? Pipeline franchise revenue. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. I'm sure Council District 2 staff would be happy to detail some of that to you if we can recommend that you get in touch with them. That will close our public comment on this item. Can we please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote?
13 ayes.
That is approved. We now have a special one. I'd like to direct the City Attorney on the findings, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll recite the facts as presented to me by the maker of the motion for the Council's consideration of the adequacy of the findings. Since the posting of today's agenda, the Los Angeles Police Department notified the CAO that there is an immediate need to authorize the transfer of $1.5 million for the LAPD overtime account in order to make payroll for the period ending February 2nd. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Thank you very much. On the findings, anybody? If not, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on the findings, please, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Pursuant to Rule 23, that item is before us. Mr. Parks, maker of the motion.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Basically, what we're doing is to move money around in the police department account for them to make payroll. We've realized that towards the end of the fiscal year, we're going to have to plug current deficits in other parts of the budget, but there's sufficient salary savings at this time to move it to their accumulated overtime account, which is different than their standard overtime account in the fact that this is dealing with retirees that have overtime on the books. So it's a need for them to make payroll.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. Anybody else wishing to be heard on this? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please, without objection. Any other items?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused to arrive at 11 a.m. on February 20th and February 29th, both for city business. That meets council policy.
All right, that excuse is granted.
And Councilmember Parks requests to be excused to leave at 11 a.m. on February 20th for city business. A motion is required.
That takes us down to 11?
I believe that does take 11.
Okay, I'll move that. Ms. Gruhl seconds, and Mr. Parks will be excused.
That clears the desk.
All right, any business announcements, folks? Again, we want to remind folks to vote today. It is Election Day, and we want to make sure we get as wide participation. There's city and state and obviously national issues on the ballot, so we encourage everybody to get out there and vote. Mr. Labange?
No, I just wanted to second what you just said, Mr. Garcetti, and This is the greatest process in the world, and encourage everyone to vote and encourage them to be involved in the political process and the democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements, folks? Yes, Mr. Parks?
Yes, I have two business announcements. First of all, dealing with the L.A. Department of Water and Power proposed rate increases. As directed by the council, they're going out in the community to have meetings. A meeting that's hosted by Jan Perry and myself, February the 16th, 10 a.m. to 12 at the Constituent Center in Exposition Park. Constituent Center on Vermont, 8475 South Vermont, at the 8th District Constituent Center. That we invite the public. The DWP personnel will be there to discuss the entire proposed rate increase. And then also our traveling budget program will be in West LA on February 25th. And we'll be at the West LA Municipal Building. The meeting will start at 6 and is hosted by CD11.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. All righty. Any other announcements? Do we have adjourning motions today? If I can ask everybody in council chambers to please rise for our adjourning motions. Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much, Council President. It's with great sadness that I announce the adjournment of Maria Garcia Polanco, the mother of retired Senator Richard Polanco. And this comes on behalf of Councilmember Alarcon, who may be a father again any minute, and myself, and any other members that would like to join us. We adjourn in the memory of Maria Garcia Polanco. Maria Garcia Polanco was born on August 8th, 1920. She was very active in her local church and was a very religious woman. She was a homemaker, wife, mother, and grandmother, and great-grandmother, and also on the foundation of the Polanco family. Mrs. Polanco was married to Lorenzo Polanco, who preceded her in death on April 28, 2005. She passed away on Saturday, February 2nd, 2008. There will be services held in the West Covina Forest Lawn at 21,300 Villa Verde Drive in Covina. The viewing is on Thursday, February 7th from 2 to 9 p.m. and the services and the burial on Friday, February 8th, 2008 from 2 to 3 p.m. at the Church of Our Heritage in West Covina Forest Lawn. She's survived by Maria Garcia Polanco, is survived by her 6 children, 27 grandchildren, 20 great-grandchildren. And I'd just like to personally say that she's a wonderful lady, a very humble woman, and she raised a great son who is my friend, former Senator Richard Polanco, and it was through her ability to raise him, her and her husband, that he became the architect of moving the Latino presence in the state legislature from 6 or 7 when he arrived to well over 27 Latino electeds, that all 27 of them would honestly say that Richard Polanco was part of their ability to be elected to the state legislature, and because of him, the state legislature now reflects much better the population of California with its representation. So once again, we adjourn in memory of Maria Garcia Polanco.
All members on that?
All members.
Any other adjourning motions, colleagues?
Yes.
Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you. It is with great sadness that I ask you to adjourn in memory of 2 women today. One, I know many of you, actually I think you probably knew both of these women. One was Adrienne Hall. Adrienne passed away on Tuesday, February 2nd, after many years of being an exemplary leader. She served as a leader of many business and nonprofit organizations and was an entrepreneur and professional. The International Women's Forum called her a leader among leaders. She was a model. She combined a groundbreaking professional career with an extraordinary involvement in the life of the community, both locally and nationally, and managed at the same time to raise a large and multicultural family. She most recently headed her own international marketing and communications group and was involved as well in a number of entrepreneurial ventures in the United States and abroad. Her company focused on strategic alliances and fostered board development. And among her clients have been major Fortune 500 companies involved in electronics, telecommunications, healthcare, cosmetics, fragrances, you name it. This company was involved with quite a bit. And she headed every major organization in the West, in the industry in the West. In 1998, she chaired the Women's Business Outreach at the Women's Economic Summit and was a member of the National Women's Business Council, whose members are appointed by the President. She co-chaired the State Economic Network, a coalition of women business and professional leaders, legislators, corporate leaders. She was a director of the Shelter Partnership, the Executive Service Corps, a governor of Town Hall, a trustee of the National Health Foundation, a trustee of UCLA, and a regent of Loyola Marymount University. She served 7 years as a director of the LA Chamber and chaired the alumni directors of the LA Chamber. She was involved in city, state, and national politics, and one of her passions was to build multicultural bridges. And she served on the boards of many organizations in a variety of communities. She was a founding member of the Committee of 200 in the International Women's Forum, which is two of the most prestigious women organizations in the world. She was the co-founder of Women Incorporated. At one time was the largest organization of women entrepreneurs in the country. She was honored by her alma mater and mine, UCLA, twice, one for professional achievement and again for community service. She was the only woman to have received in the history of the university both awards. She was honored in 2006 by Harvard University and the Kennedy School of Government by establishing in perpetuity the Adrian Hall Women's Mentoring Fund, the Adrian Hall Scholars and Adrian Hall Annual Lecture, the first one given in 2007 by Queen Rania of Jordan. She has had so many extraordinary experiences, and for those of you that may have known her, she enjoyed mentoring women, and I met her originally when I worked for Mayor Bradley, and although her health was declining in the last few years, she was still there in her wheelchair, talking about how important it was to support women. She was married to Maurice Hall, who briefly taught politics at Princeton and was a developer and an investment Baker's co-founder of the famous Jazz Bakery and a former director of the jazz station KJAZZ, KJazz. She is survived by her spouse, Maurice Hall, her children, Adam Hall and Rachel Nee Hall, Victoria Hall, Zawar and Jarzaloff Zawar, Stephanie Hall, and Renee Mocktel, Todd Hall, Joe Hibbett, and Kim Hibbett, and had many, many grandchildren. She will be missed for her leadership in the city. She was someone, I think, that was an extraordinary woman, and I'd like to ask if all members would join me in adjourning Adrian's memory.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gould.
Sorry. And the second one, which I just found out the other day, is Judith Muley, a behind-the-scenes feminist organizer who died in her home from multiple myeloma at the age of 69. She was a founding member of the Feminist Majority Foundation, LA Now, co-creator and editor of National Now Times, board member of Now, and board member of the Veteran Feminists of America from its inception. On the steering committee shaping the original ERA effort, and the creator of the most powerful symbols and jewelry that marked the women's movement of the late 1960s and 70s. She was born in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, and was one of a handful of women who graduated pre-med with a Bachelor's of Science from the University of Minnesota. She was fearless, adventurous, and fun, with a ready laugh and twinkle in her eye. Judith, as a young woman, defied convention and became a cab driver, as it paid more money than any other part-time work she could secure as a woman, and it introduced her to all walks of life. She was beginning her transformation as a risk taker, an activist, and a rebel. She arrived in Los Angeles in the 60s and quickly secured a job as a lab tech at UCLA, and though rapidly promoted, her gender prevented entry into the UCLA's medical program. Judith said that was her click moment. Her consciousness raised and she never looked back. And so with fellow women activists, Judith started protests around town, successfully changing some of the male-only environments of the Polo Lounge, which I didn't know had been male-only, staged walk-ins and protested the ban on unescorted women. They staged sit-ins at the LA Times to protest the segregated male-female help wanted ads. And Muley recently said, back then this was the easy stuff. Discrimination was overt. During this time, her and her life partner, Tony Carabillo, started their work on the LA Now and National Now Times, meeting their lifelong friend, Eleanor Smeal. She was on a variety of organizations and really committed her and Tony committed her life 100% to the movement in 1968 when the most radical year of protest in U.S. history. She created the iconic brassie, the women's symbol with an equal sign through it. Newspapers around the world carried the image, and her symbol for the movement took root. She went on to create and produce some of the most memorable symbols of the women's movement, including designs for the universal symbol of human liberation, sisterhood, matriarchy lives, women's peace, and a variety of others. She co-founded or co-authored the Feminist Chronicles, 1953-1993, and the Feminization of Power. And they retained remarkable records of most of the speeches, the newsletters, and recorded strategy conversations from 1968 to 1982. Judith's last decade was a consummation of her purposeful life. Though her partner had died in 1997, she successfully developed a side business in real estate that helped her to contribute over $1 million to various causes, FMF, Now, myeloma research. And I met her when I was running for office with her other partner, found love and content with her life partner, Stephanie Palmer, their cat Cleo, and a wide array of friends. She would walk in our neighborhood. I would see both of them, even when she was struggling with cancer. They would be walking to the store, Gelson's, or in the neighborhood, and be there at all of the feminist activities. And a celebration of her life was held in January, and contributions her name can be made to the Feminist Majority Foundation. She is survived by her life partner, Stephanie Palmer, her brother, sister, and several nieces and nephews. And she was a quiet force, but gave of her time and her money to make this place a better place in which to live. And I know Stephanie, although is grieving, I spoke to her the other day, I think is this morning fighting a project in the neighborhood, because that's the way they were, really out there and active. But she made a big difference. Both of these women, both Adrienne Hall and Judith, really were incredible women. And thank you for letting me have so much time. But there was so much to say about them and what they were able to accomplish. So I'd ask that you adjourn. And I think Bill Rosendahl would like to second with Judith.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Rosendahl, second that. Thank you all very much. Any other adjourning motions? If not, don't forget to vote, and we will see you all tomorrow on Wednesday, February 6th, 2008, here in the John Ferraro Council Chambers. This meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
We now join our scheduled program in progress.
And if you look at sort of where people's minds were when they passed that, that's really what they were looking at. What it's done is it's made special interest ownership of the